Hey guys, and welcome back to another Hof Bergmann Explained video. Today we're going to take a look at greenhouses and specifically how to grow lettuce, red peppers, and tomatoes here on Hof Bergmann version 1.0.0.8. But before that, this video is brought to you by Brett Pruitt. Thank you for being a farm baron. So you can see from the PDA that we are up here by the milk cell point, the grain mill, and the genetics place. And this is the area that you have to purchase for $270,900 if you wish to grow vegetables. Once you buy it, you can open up the gate, and we have 8 greenhouses here. We have 2 rows. We have 4 lettuce greenhouses, 2 tomato greenhouses, and 2 red pepper greenhouses. Now, I didn't mention during the fruit trees video that you can indeed place additional fruit trees wherever you want, and they will behave just like the regular fruit trees. Now, you do not have the capability of placing greenhouses. Okay, so these are the only greenhouses that you have here on the map. Now, if we go into our lettuce greenhouse here, we walk here to the back, we're going to see what this particular greenhouse is going to require. This greenhouse is going to require manure or compost. We haven't talked about compost yet, but manure or compost, water, seedlings, and then we will get lettuce. So that is basically common amongst all 4 of these lettuce greenhouses. Our tomato greenhouses and red pepper greenhouses are a little bit different. So they are only going to require manure or compost and water, and then we will get tomatoes and red peppers out of these. Now, something else to notice on the water triggers, we do have this little cog telling us that there is an interactive element. We walk up to this, we see we can left click to activate trigger filling. Get a nice little animation. We have left click now to activate hose filling. And there we go. So if it says activate trigger filling, it means it's set up to use hose filling. If it says activate hose filling, it's set up to use trigger filling. So I'm going to go around and activate hose or trigger filling on the greenhouses that we are going to demonstrate with today. And I'll be back with you on the next things we need to know. So let's talk about some of the things that we can buy at the shop or we need to buy at the shop to basically make a productive greenhouse. So if we go to our objects, we go to crates, we can acquire big boxes. We talked about these when we were looking at the fruit trees. Bulk, we can go with lettuce, tomato, red pepper, apples or pears, and back to bulk. So I have here a tote that's set up for lettuce, and I've got 2 that are set up for tomatoes and red peppers. So the tomatoes, red peppers are red, and the lettuce is set up as green. Now we're also going to have to buy lettuce seedlings. So we can get those here at Consumer Goods. We have a pallet of lettuce seedlings, $50 per pallet. You will need 1 pallet for every lettuce greenhouse that you wish to operate. And then we have some small trays. I just put them on this pallet to make things a lot easier to transport. But we've got some boxes that are going to work for our tomatoes and green or red peppers, as you can see by the icon on the tray. And then we have lettuce trays here that are green. We're going to find those in the shop here under. They're under crates again. I temporarily forgot where they were. So we have our vegetable crate. And then we have our vegetable carton. Now, the vegetable crate is saying that it's going to work with lettuce, tomatoes, and red peppers, whereas the vegetable carton is only going to work with tomatoes and red peppers. Now, what can we do with our vegetables? Well, as far as various sell points that are going to take our lettuce, tomatoes, and red peppers, we have the farm shop. We have the inn. We have the village shop. And we have our 8 villagers around town that are going to buy our vegetables. Now, in addition to our lettuce seedlings, as we've seen, we need water. So I've got a big water tank up here, and I do want to talk about this. So this thing is going to collect rainwater. We can see that it is currently full of water right now. Now we cannot fill our truck with this particular device because the trigger is under the spout. But if we have something handy like, let's say, our barrel trolley that holds 500 units of water, we could pull this or push this up under here, fill it with water, and then use that to put water in our greenhouses. Or we could use these IBC containers, and put water in this and then move this around, or basically use this to then fill other things with respect to water. So for the sake of this demonstration, I'm just going to use easy depth controls to put water in my tank. And since we activate trigger filling, all we've got to do is get close to our water tank. And we'll put water in it. We can see a gauge here on the side of the tank. 2,000 liters per water, or per greenhouse, I should say. So I'm going to go ahead and put water in the 4 greenhouses that we are going to demonstrate today. Now, in addition to water, we are going to need to put in, as we've already seen, manure or compost. So I've got a trailer down here already full of manure. Now, I will say that these greenhouses take a lot of manure or compost. So definitely be prepared with a fair amount of this product. So it's just as easy as pulling up alongside. And you'll see that we started out with 10,500 liters. And this thing is taking a whole lot. So we're left with 2,750 liters of compost, or of manure. Again, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to go ahead and use easy depth controls to fill this up with manure again. And we'll go ahead and put manure in these other 2. We could, if we had compost, put compost in here also. But I'll be back with you once we get these filled up with manure. Okay, with the red pepper and tomato greenhouses, these are fully operational at this point. We have satisfied everything they need. So they are full of manure and they're full of water. We also have the nice ability to turn on a little fluorescent lights in here. And these greenhouses have animations. In fact, we just heard this one kick in. So periodically, the sprayers overhead will fire up in our greenhouses. But we still have one more step for our lettuce greenhouses. And that is we need to put lettuce seedlings inside of each. Now, I was pretty sure when I prepped all of this that I loaded these seedlings with my hands. But for whatever reason, I have to turn on super strength to be able to move these at this point. But I was pretty darn sure that I moved these by hand earlier. So we're going to have to come up here, and as you saw, we have to open our door. And then we'll take our pallet of lettuce seedlings and just walk them in here. Boom, there we go. And there's some really cool animation here. We've got a little greenhouse helper basically tending to our lettuce plants. And now these are 100% operational. Let's get our other greenhouse up and running. And again, we're going to need one pallet of lettuce seedlings for each greenhouse that we use. And we're going to have to get a pallet of lettuce seedlings every time we basically grow our lettuce. There we go. I'm so glad that our greenhouse worker was able to get out of there before the sprayers turned on. So at this point, the only thing that is left to do is to fast forward time. And I should just go ahead and be in here so we can observe the progress. Okay, so let's go ahead and speed up time. 2000 speed. You'll see that we slowly have large lettuces populate in. And when we're done, we're going to have 200 units of lettuce. You can see our manure and water is also going down at the same rate. So like I said, these greenhouses, they consume a lot of resources. 8,000 units of manure or compost, 2,000 units of water, 200 units of lettuce seedlings in order to produce 200 units of lettuce. You see at this point we are now in the evening of day 2. And our greenhouse is done. It's 2 a.m. It was around 9 a.m. 2 days ago when we started this process. So I would say that basically 2 full days is going to get you to have a full loadout of product. So there, our lettuce is done. red peppers are not done. They're going to take a bit longer. And our tomatoes are not done. They are going to take a bit longer also. Oops. Let's just go ahead and speed on through then. So it's very important to note that the grow time for our tomatoes and peppers is about double that of our lettuce. So we could cycle those 4 lettuce greenhouses 2 times for every time we cycle our tomatoes and red pepper greenhouses. And there we go. We have 988 units of tomatoes when we are fully done. And we have 988 units of red peppers when we are fully done. So what do we do with these now that we have fully grown greenhouses? Well, we can take our trays here, take our little green lettuce tray, and what we do is we walk it over here, and we hit R to start filling. Our helper comes back to help us harvest our lettuce. And there we go. We have 15 units of lettuce in each little plastic tray. Or we could take a big tote like this, place it inside the greenhouse, and fill this up. I believe this is going to hold 50 units of lettuce. Remember, we had 200 per greenhouse, so we can hold 4 totes per greenhouse, or a whole lot of little trays, right? And we'll basically do the same thing with respect to our red peppers and tomatoes. This is going to take a little bit longer, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab a little tray and fill that up with tomatoes. Let's use the white tray this time. Oh, our poor piglets. We don't have any room for them. So again, we hit R to start filling. And we're going to get 100 units of tomatoes in this tray. Let's go ahead and see how our tote is doing. Slowly filling up. I'll bring you back once we get everything all filled up. So as you see in front of us, we have 3 big totes, one full of red peppers, yeah. One full of lettuce, one full of tomatoes. We have 2 small white trays of red peppers, 2 small white trays of tomatoes. Then we have 4 trays of lettuce. So the lettuce trays have 15 units each. The big tote of lettuce has 50. The tomatoes and red peppers are 300 per tote and 100 per tray. So we have basically harvested half of our tomatoes from one greenhouse, half of our red peppers from one greenhouse, and half of our lettuce from one greenhouse with this current loadout. So I think the best way to really deal with this is to use these large totes. There's less totes you're going to have to carry. 300 totes per greenhouse. That is, you're going to need 3 totes per greenhouse, and then you're still going to have 88 units left. So 3 big totes per greenhouse and a tray for red peppers and tomatoes. And then for lettuce, you're going to need 4 big totes per greenhouse to basically harvest them per round. So I'm going to load this up, and we're just going to run over to the inn, and we're just going to sell all of this stuff at one place. We've already seen selling stuff at residents' houses. We're just going to have to carry our trays. That's why we would probably want to put this product in trays to carry our trays to each house to sell. Or we can sell them in bulk in the totes or the trays by going to the inn or the village shop or the farm shop. So just as a reminder, to sell things at the inn, we have to back them in here. And I have to say, if this is just half of one greenhouse for tomatoes, half of one greenhouse for red peppers, and half of one greenhouse for lettuce, man, that is a lot of product. You're going to want a big trailer to transport. So let's see what we get for all of our product. So we got $1,968 in harvest income. Not too shabby. Not too shabby when you think that we only had to buy lettuce. And the lettuce is $50 per greenhouse. We get water. Water's free. Manure we're going to be able to produce, or we can produce compost. And we're going to be talking about compost here in a few days. So overall, greenhouses are pretty cheap to operate, and well, you get a fair bit of money for the produce that you sell. Now, it is a fair bit of handwork for sure in loading up all of these totes and moving them around and such. So in tomorrow's video, I think what we're going to do is we are going to cover the seed master that is on the farm so that you can produce your own seed. And then the next day, we're going to talk about liquid fertilizer and solid fertilizer production also. So until next time, happy farming.